go out to the chat and that you add your name for attendance. Kelly, are you ready with our flag slide?
Oh my gosh, thank you.
I think that's the main job as president. Eric, Ryan, I'm just telling you, you're the great reminder.
Yeah.
Hey, remember, hey, how you doing on this? Hey, have you moved this along? What's happening with this? You know?
Christina always has our flag for a backup if needed, I see.
That is true. Hey, Stephanie, great to see you joining us there from the Friends of the Animal Shelter.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Excellent. Thanks so much for coming. Aaron's going to do a little music for us. I also heard, which some people could maybe keep a lookout. So, you know, Usha said she would come if there was music. So I have not seen Usha yet, but I have got the music. So I have done my part. And then, oh, why am I blanking out on his name? The guy that used to sing all, Bob. Bob actually emailed me and said he might attend today. So again, another reason for music. So hopefully we will see them in our ranks. Great. Well, we will get started. Kelly, you think you're about ready?
I tell you, I'm having a little problem with my, with it showing up. We might have to use Christina's.
Okay, that's all right with us. So actually what we could do is, let's see, how could we make that the biggest one? I'm trying to think. If everybody would like, so one, welcome to the Iowa City Noon Rotary meeting. My name's Barb Thomas. I am your president for the year. We always start our meetings with the Pledge of Allegiance. So we are having a little trouble with our flag slide. So I want you to all look at the gallery. And if you might have to scroll through, but look at Christina Kimberly's background there. So as you know, she works for the Dogs for Our Brave. She's got that great flag. So we're going to use that flag for our Pledge of Allegiance today. So feel free to join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Great, thank you all. Thank you, Christina, for providing our slide. That's great. We're going to get started today. I'm going to turn it over to Kelly for a quick reminder of some of those Zoom tips to make your meeting experience all the more enjoyable. Kelly?
All right. So my computer is going a little crazy. I'm even in the office, but I think I got it now. But anyway, so welcome everyone. Please remember to sign your name in the chat. That is how we take attendance. So we greatly appreciate it. Also, a friendly reminder to please use the mute button, especially when our presenters start their, when they start presenting, as it just eliminates the background noise and it's a lot easier to hear. Furthermore, when you're watching the presentation, I encourage you to go up to the waffle or the little view panel up in the right-hand corner and click on that, and you can actually have speaker view. During our introductions, like now, when everyone's joining, it's fun to have it on gallery. You can see everybody, but then if you go to the speaker view, it's just much easier to have a more concentrated screen. And then when we start after our presentation, as well as when we're introducing guests or visiting Rotarians, we'll ask you to go into the participant tab and use the raise your hand button. That way we will see that either you have, I guess, an announcement as well, or a guest, or you are a visiting Rotarian. And then of course, after the presentation. And with that, I will turn it back over to President Barb.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Kelly. And I know that we do have a couple of guests. So this is everyone's opportunity to practice those Zoom skills. Remember, go to the participants button and then click to raise your hand. You can introduce your guest. If you are a guest, we want to make sure you say a few words or say hello. And then we can do that. I believe that Susan Brennan, I'm going to have Kelly call on people, but I believe that Susan has a guest today. Susan?
I do. Thank you, President Barb. I was trying to get to the raise my hand thing, which still don't have down really well. But yes, I do have a guest today. I'd like to introduce our superintendent of schools, Matt Goodyear. He joined us before and he's joining us again today. Matt, you can just raise your hand or say hi.
Good afternoon, everybody. Hope you're having a great week.
Great. Thank you.
Wonderful. Welcome, Matt, and thanks, Susan. All right. Anyone else with a guest that they would like to introduce? All right.
I think we have Stephanie Kohler as a visiting Rotarian. Stephanie, do you want to say hello?
Hello, everyone. It's been a while since I was in this group, and I wanted to visit again since you guys have a pretty great amount of people. So thanks for having me.
Excellent. Well, welcome. Thanks for joining us. All right, President Barb, turn it back over to you.
Perfect. Great. Thanks. I appreciate that. So next we're going to move on to announcements. I want to make sure that, to encourage people not only sign in, but like look through that chat that we have. If you go up towards the top, you'll see some information on a United Way webinar that's going to be held next Thursday. It's on the COVID vaccine. It's going to provide a lot of information. Helpful link is right there from good old Trisha. So make sure that you look at that. But we do have a number of different announcements. So first, I'm going to go to Dave Brown, who's got an announcement about some volunteer opportunities. Dave?
All right. Hope you're not getting too tired of me announcing this, but we're getting closer and closer. A couple days after the Earth Day on April 24th, we've got 2 events. Actually got 3 events that day with the convention, but the first event is going to be at 9. That's going to be at Court Hill Park. We've got about 12 people RSVP'd, so we're about halfway where we'd like to be. And we've got about the same amount, 13 people for the next event, which is at 10. So if you want to try to do both or choose one, either way, that'd be appreciated. And the next event is going to be the highway cleanup. Roughly, we are starting at Winter Eagle Road, which is just the first road south of Terry Trueblood, and it goes down to Nursery Lane. And I think we're going to have enough people we can split up and do what we did last time and just meet in the middle. So kind of many hands make light work. Thanks.
Great. Thanks so much, Dave. Great opportunity. It's great to see people signing up. Dave's going to actually put the links into the chat for the 2 different sign up Genius sites so that you can sign up to volunteer to help with either the roadside cleanup or the tree planting. Next, I'm going to take it to Tita Kaufman, who has an announcement about RILA. Tita?
Yes, good afternoon. I'm in the RILA committee, and I'm also needing some volunteers. Actually, we have 23 students from City High and Liberty, and we need 4 more volunteers to interview on Monday afternoon from 2:30 to 4:30. I would love to hear from 4 of you. I will put my email, or maybe you can just email Barb, and then she can let me know, and I will give you all the details, the link, and send you the material for the interviews. RILA this year will be held at Coe College in mid-July, and we have 10 spots that we have to assign to one of these 23 students, to 10 of these students. So please, I look forward to hearing from you. This is a great, great project.
It is truly a great project. And, it's going to be easy to do these interviews. It's all through Zoom. One of the great things about it is that you really get this insight into these great kids who are in our community. And so with this, we've got to kind of figure out who we're going to take. So if you are interested, again, we need just four people. If you're free on Monday afternoon, please consider, you can even do a direct message to Tita if you'd like to as well. Just look for Kaufman in the chat and you can let her know. Next, I'm going to go to Chris Atchison with another reminder about district grants. Chris?
Thank you, President Barb. And like David said, I hope you're not getting tired of these announcements, but this is actually my last one because our deadline is April 19th to submit ideas, concepts that you might like to submit to the board for the district grants. This is actually some of our revenue coming back into the Iowa City Community Art Club to help us do projects up to $10,000. It's 5,000 district, 5,000 from the club. So there's an opportunity to actually get some good work done. So let myself or Trish Triddle know that you're interested. And we'll work with you to flesh out the thing. Don't get too worried about details. Just get us ideas. We do need Rotary Club member involvement, those kind of things. But it's just the kind of work that, like cleaning up highways or planting trees. Those are the kind of things that this money can help us even do better. Thanks, Barb.
Great, thanks so much. So just a reminder, you've got a couple more days. And again, you don't have to have the whole thing figured out. If you've got a good idea, go talk to Chris, talk to Tracy. You're gonna have to put together some material, but it's certainly doable. Next, we're gonna go to one of our favorite traditions, which is the Rotary moment of gratitude and positivity. And so this week, we are gonna hear from Christina Kimberly. Christina, you wanna take it away?
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
We can, yeah.
All right, great. So this is a little challenging for me because the pandemic did not impact my daily life. I was still going to work. We have dogs to take care of. I was still going to the grocery store, and I don't have a family. It's just me and my dog. And so it was kind of a normal routine. So I thought instead I would share a story with you of something that I'm grateful for each and every single day. So when I was in college, I was actually in an altercation and I was jumped and I had the right side of my face kicked in. That caused me to lose 50% of my vision in my right eye. And the doctors still to this day say that I could wake up and be completely blind any day. So each day I wake up grateful that I can see something. And a lot of you guys know that I play football, but you probably didn't know that I was playing football partially blind. So it's ironic that I protect the blind side of the quarterback, playing left tackle, but my injury has kind of caused me to push forward, and sometimes I have to work a little bit harder, but I have persevered and I am grateful for what I can do. And I'm running my 5th nonprofit organization in animal welfare. And one of my professors at school told me I would never amount to anything in animal welfare. So just another hurdle to jump over and keep proving myself and that I would be able to do it. So that simple thing, just finding one thing when you wake up in the morning that you're grateful for, and it could be as simple as you can hear the birds outside, or you can see the flowers or smell the flowers. So I kind of push that the difficult times create champions. And so I encourage everybody to be grateful for the chaos that we are actually in right now. It makes you look a little bit deeper. And if my little story doesn't inspire gratitude in you, I would encourage you to remember that tomorrow is the anniversary of the Virginia Tech shooting. And we as Hokies have a motto that we live for 32. So the 32 victims that didn't get to finish their life, we live each day and we are grateful for our life. We push forward. So I would encourage all of you to think about that. And when you wake up tomorrow, pick one thing that you're grateful for before your feet touch that floor.
That's a great thought, Christina. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And I do think that we all need to kind of stop. Sometimes the world is a little overwhelming, or work is overwhelming, or situations are overwhelming. And in truth, we have many, many things to be grateful for. And, so stop before you even get out of bed. What are you grateful for today? It's a good way to kind of move forward and be positive. So thank you very much. So we are now going to go to Aaron Schaefer for a little bit of music. So let's see. It looks like we don't even have Usha, who is half the reason that we brought music in, but we enjoy it anyway. Eric, I do need to try, or Aaron, I need to try to find my slide really quickly of, I have the words for smile somewhere in my stuff.
Is that the song we're doing?
I don't know. Are you doing something else? If so.
Hello.
All right.
Well,
so just in case, okay, I do have the slides. So just in case people want to know, how do you do singing when you're in Zoom? Because if you have everybody turn their microphones on, it's not so pretty. Okay, I'm just going to tell you. So the rest of us all need to have our microphones turned off so that we can hear Aaron sing, and we can sing along at our heart's desire as loud as you want. You don't have to worry about anybody else and, hearing you sing, because, it's all going to be Aaron. So Aaron, I'm going to share my slide and then you can take it away.
thanks. Before I start, I'll say, I'm grateful my grandfather bought me my first guitar, because it certainly brought me a lot of joy. And then I can share that with others as well. So here it is. Smile, and the world smiles with you. Sing a song. Don't be worried, just be cheery all day. Whenever your trials, your troubles, and your care seem to be more than you can really bear, smile, and the world smiles with you. Sing a song. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Aaron. That's great. Always great to have a little bit of music in our lives. So next, if there is no other announcements or anything else before the club, I will go ahead and introduce our speaker today. So today we're going to hear from Kelli Kennon-Lane. Kelli is from the Indian Creek Nature Center. So Kelli is an Iowa native, raised in Northeast Iowa and living in Lynn County for almost 20 years. She lives with her husband and son in a very small log home in the woods, a dream that they manifested several years ago. Kelli's professional background is in public education. She received her undergraduate degree from Wartburg College and her graduate degree from Coe College. She has extensive training in social emotional learning, curriculum design and implementation, and building the capacity and autonomy of teams. So please join me in welcoming Kelli Kennon-Lane. Kelli?
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to speak with your group today. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and introduce myself. I am the Director of Education at Indian Creek Nature Center, and we're located on the southeast side of Cedar Rapids, conveniently right off of Otis Road. So if you haven't been, consider this your invitation to come and visit us in person. We are Iowa's largest nature center, and we are Iowa's only nonprofit nature center. So we are not funded by tax dollars. We are funded by support from donors, corporations, and individuals who take our programs, schools that bring children here on field trips, and just a variety of other educational opportunities. Our mission is to create champions of nature. And we create champions of nature through education and inspiration. So whether you're taking a class with us, either in person or on Zoom, sending a child to one of our summer camps, or attending one of our special events, we hope that you come away inspired and encouraged to protect our natural environment. So one of the things that is part of my role as Director of Education is to provide programming and provide talks on topics related to another part of our mission, which is related to sustainability and eco-conscious living. What you may not know is that our new building, the building I'm sitting in right now, is a living building. We are Living Building Petal certified, which is a step higher than a LEED Platinum certification. So this building that you have the opportunity to visit is one of the 30 most energy efficient structures in the world. It's wonderful, it's incredible, and part of our mission is to spread the knowledge of sustainable living for businesses, corporations, public and non-public entities, as well as households. So I am a low waste living enthusiast in my personal life and in my professional life. But it all started when I was a high school language arts teacher. I was teaching language arts for about 7 years, and every summer I would preview and read texts that I was interested in bringing into my classroom the next school year. And one summer I was just so burnt out on reading young adult literature that I vowed that whole summer I was going to read the things on my shelf that I had been looking forward to but never made the time to do. And one of the books on my bookshelf I got from a library book sale at the Marion Public Library for like 75 cents. And it's Animal Vegetable Miracle by Barbara Kingsolver. It's the story of her and her family consuming food that had been produced, grown, raised, harvested from 100 miles from their home in Virginia, I believe. That book, the story of her family, was so inspiring to me that I started my first garden. I started composting. I began raising backyard chickens. It was the catalyst for change that I needed in my personal life. So while I'm sharing a few bits of information with you today on sustainable living, I want you to think about what your catalyst for change could be. Maybe what it already has been. Maybe it's this presentation today. Maybe it's something that you've been toying with but haven't quite pulled the trigger on quite yet. When we think about low waste living, it's important to know that there's no such thing as zero waste. To live with absolutely no impact on our environment is impossible. It does not exist. So the first thing we need to think about is using the word low waste instead of zero waste when we think about sustainability and our impact on the earth. The second thing that we can consider as households, as people, part of a small independent community, is that the pandemic has hindered a lot of our low waste efforts. For example, in most of our grocery stores, we can't even use reusable shopping bags, and we oftentimes get more paper or plastic in a simple weekly grocery haul than we would ordinarily. That is tough, but it doesn't mean we can't do something. So instead of 10% of the world's people or our organizations in our community living 100% zero waste, which is nearly impossible, we need 100% of people, corporations, businesses, reducing their impact by 10%. That is the change that we need to aspire to. Here's how we do it. As households, the first thing on our list should be changing our consumption habits. We have the ability to choose what we consume, what we purchase, what we ingest in terms of media, news, everything. Consumption is more than just what we put in and on our bodies, it's what we bring into our life. So think about how you can make a 10% change, one small change, maybe every couple of weeks or so, to move yourself in a more sustainable, earth-friendly direction. I'll give you several examples in a few moments. One way that you can begin that 10% change in changing some of your consumption habits is developing a circular mindset. Many of you may have seen this graphic before. It's shared fairly widely. I know I grew up, and many of us grew up, living in somewhat of a linear economy where we purchase an item or we bring an item into our lives and it serves its purpose and then it goes away. It goes into the recycle bin, it goes into the trash can, it is given to someone else, but either way, not our problem anymore. The item leaves. The item has served its purpose. The thing has met our needs and it goes away. Recently, we've had a little bit more interest in recycling, and that seems like a greenwashed industry, unfortunately, because ultimately a recycling economy, the item still ends up in the trash. The item still leaves our purview, leaves our life, even if it is recycled and reshaped into something different. So the onus on following that item until the absolute end of its life cycle is not on us in the recycling economy. We put that newspaper in the recycling bin. We put that plastic jug or that plastic bottle in the recycling bin. And even though it may be recycled, it's not our responsibility. A circular economy means anything that you bring into your life is with you until it cannot possibly be used anymore. It is repurposed, it's retooled, it's reinvented, or you make a choice on a purchase or bringing something into your life that can be used in a different way or is manufactured in a different way. So our aspiration should be making a 10% change in 1 or 2 practices every few months or so. And it should also be developing a circular economy mindset. Mindset shifts are a big deal. But the reason it's a big deal is that recycling is not enough. This graphic is several years old, and I could not find a more updated, simplified graphic that could have as powerful of an impact as this one does. But when we look at all of the items that can be recycled in most municipalities, paper, metal, glass, and plastic are typically what encompasses our recycling bins. Paper can be recycled often and quite easily. It's pretty affordable to recycle paper, and it's pretty widely accepted. Metal also has held a strong commodity in our market and can be recycled often, multiple times over and over again, and it can be done inexpensively. Glass can be recycled indefinitely, which is wonderful if we have the choice of making a purchase of something in glass versus plastic or metal. Glass is always the best choice because glass can be recycled indefinitely. However, the ability to recycle glass in most communities is limited, and it is a little bit more expensive, which is why items in glass are also more expensive. Plastics, however, can be recycled once. They can be recycled once before they are turned into a new item, and then that item oftentimes has been degraded by nature of recycling, and it's trash after that. So if at all costs, we should avoid all plastic consumption. So one of the ways that you can begin that 10% change, that circular mindset, is by making changes at home. And I realize you are all professionals in the Iowa City, Johnson County area, and you have clout and you have the ability to make changes in your workplace or within your professional organizations. That change might be more challenging. So start at home, which is where we have a little bit more control. Some of the changes that I made right away at home was I started looking at my trash. So if I could give you any homework for today, it is to get close to your trash. And I literally mean open up your trash bag, spread a tarp down on your garage or outside or on your kitchen floor, dump everything from your trash bag onto the floor and see what's inside. And you might think, well, I can just remember what I put in the trash. You won't. You need to see your trash bag emptied out on your floor on that tarp to really see what you're putting in the trash every week, what's leaving your life without any afterthought. For me, what my husband and I and my family, what we found at that time was we were throwing away a lot of food scraps, things that were not able to be consumed by us, but could be composted. Or in the picture that you see on the left, like a chicken carcass or chicken bones that could have been boiled into bone broth. We found single-use like cleaning items, single-use personal hygiene items. So when we had our son, we began using cloth diapers. And then we also realized we were putting about one 13-gallon bag in our trash can every week. At the time we lived in the city and we had weekly trash pickup. And we were producing about 13 gallons of trash in a week. And that was just unacceptable to us. So now we use plastic shopping bags as our trash liners. I can't remember the last time I purchased trash bags, but we fill one up every 2.5 to 3 weeks or so. So your 10% change could be just getting a baseline for how much trash your household produces and what are the most common things in the trash. That will illuminate to you and your family members where your biggest problem spots are. The other thing you can think about is start small. It might not be relevant or possible for your family to make a big change, like selling your large home in the middle of Marion and moving into a tiny log home. That might be a little bit extreme for you. And while that is what my family aspired to, and we may be there now, we didn't start there. We started with reusing plastic bags and rinsing them out like my grandma and my great-grandma did and drying them in the drain rack. So those single-use items had another life before they hit the trash. We started using some of the wood around our property to heat our home in our wood stove rather than an artificial or mined heat source. And then eventually we built a small home in the woods. We have a footprint of about 700 square feet, which is a modest home by homes in the 1950s and 60s standards, but it is the perfect size for us. We are nearly off-grid, and once we install solar panels, we will be entirely off-grid. We have no utilities to our property other than electric service, no LP gas, no additional services that we need to be concerned with, but living a very simple life without a lot of the modern luxuries that we had in our old home has been perfect for our lifestyle. And while that might not be ideal for you, remember, you get to choose the small changes, those 10% changes that will eventually add up to a huge impact on your household, on your community, and our earth. One thing that you might get a little eager about in this process is you've been hooked, you are into making these changes for your family, maybe you're ready to start with your workplace, you are just ready to live a more sustainable, earth-conscious life. That's wonderful, but beware of greenwashing. Beware of the instinct to throw away all your plastic Tupperware and go buy a fancy new glass set. When you think about the items you already have, your goal is to keep them as long as you can. You don't need to go buy glass, bamboo, recycled plastic items and bring them into your house. You're actually creating a bigger problem because you're consuming more. Your goal should be to use what you currently have, what you've currently paid for and stored in your home for as long as possible. Keep it around, take care of it, maintain it, manage it, steward it, pass it along to others who can do the same after you. And to just give you some insight, the picture on the left, we use cloth napkins. I did not purchase a single one of these napkins new. These came from one of my great aunts who went into an assisted living facility and she was downsizing her stash. She might be a little horrified that I'm using some of her formal dinner napkins when I, put some meat on the smoker and I'm eating barbecue, but we're using something, we're putting something to life. I grew up on a farm in Northeast Iowa, and my dad had an old 1916 potbelly wood stove in a shed behind a barn. And for Christmas one year, we refinished that wood stove and gave it to my husband as a Christmas gift for his garage. Cost us nothing but sweat equity. This is a real life picture of my Tupperware cupboard. There is a little bit of plastic in here, but you'll see it's a lot of jars from food items that I've peeled the label off and used some lemon essential oil to get the sticky grit off of it. And I'm reusing it to store my leftovers and take my food to work with me. So these are all practical 10% changes you can make with your household. If you must buy new, and let's face it, we are humans. We must buy new things. We need to acquire new things to establish and maintain a lifestyle and our needs. However, if you must buy something, whether it's brand new or secondhand, evaluate every single purchase. And this is time consuming. And sometimes, quite frankly, this is overwhelming. If you have to think about every single food item you put in your shopping cart, every single Amazon purchase, every single clothing item that you purchase your children for back to school, that can be a lot. But there are 3 questions that you should ask yourself. How is this item made? Where is it from? And what happens to it when I'm done with it? If you can answer those 3 questions and feel pretty comfortable with the answer, you know that it was made ethically or in a factory or by a person who has the same standards that you have for your items. It's from as close to your hometown as possible. It's as close to where you live as possible. And you have a plan for what happens to it when you're done with it. That's a pretty good purchase. Go ahead and swipe your card. Consumption is our largest hurdle to low waste living. It all boils down to what we're consuming, what news we're ingesting, what information and education we are taking into us. It's not only the physical items we bring into our life. So both of them are important. Those other things that we can consider are how our carbon footprint is in conjunction to the norm, so to speak. So if you have not done so before, I encourage you, I'll give you another piece of homework aside from sorting your trash, is go online and just do a quick Google search for a carbon footprint calculator. There are dozens of free carbon footprint calculators online. And basically you enter in information about your family and your individual travel habits, lifestyle habits, consumption choices, so to speak. And it tells you how large your footprint and the amount of carbon that you and your family off-put into our environment. So it also gives you the opportunity to purchase carbon offset credits through organizations that work to reduce our carbon load on our environment. A carbon footprint calculator, just like looking at your trash, tells you where your red flags are. You can also look into your power company's renewable energy or renewable energy credit program. Oftentimes there are things like time of day billing or the ability to purchase renewable energy at a premium price. And what that essentially does is it may or may not lower your bill if you choose something like time of day billing, but it signals to your power company that you value renewable energy and it's a priority for you. And it's a way that you are voting with your dollar. You are sending a signal to this utility entity. You can write to your elected officials, business owners, and company CEOs. As a large nonprofit nature center, when myself or our executive director, when we get a letter from someone saying, we like what you're doing, please keep this up, or we have a suggestion for something you should look into, we read them all, every single one of them. We respond to every single one of them. Do not underestimate the power of a personal email or a personal letter to someone who has the ability to make a change that you think is important. We also, as a nonprofit, know that when we are pointed in the right direction, people will support us with a donation, whether it's an in-kind donation or a monetary donation or a donation of their time. So what we've learned is, as personal individuals, as households, if we believe in an organization's work, we will donate to their cause. We believe in their mission, and we know that they are advancing the goal that we think is important. It's also important to prioritize brands and businesses with a proven sustainability mission. One example is Frontier Co-op. Frontier Co-op, located in Norway, North Liberty, they have several locations in the area. They have a proven track record for low waste sustainable initiatives. And they're a company that, as Indian Creek Nature Center and as individuals in our workplace, we believe in supporting that organization with our business. We also consider the detriment of big box and online shopping. Remember, keep those dollars local. You are keeping the money in your community. I can't tell you how many times a $20 purchase is circulated in a community through local businesses. I feel like I keep exchanging the same $20 purchase with several business owners in the Mount Vernon area. It's pretty wonderful. And lastly, understand that low waste living is not a term of absolutes. There is no, this is not a black and white issue. There are lots of gray areas. Zero waste living is not perfect. It doesn't even exist. Low waste living is also not perfect. And you must do what is appropriate for your family and your context. So if I can leave you with one goal, it is when you start this journey, when you make your 10% change, please bring others along with you. You are making low waste living more mainstream, more popular. Your gentle encouragement of these small changes are more likely to stick than more in-your-face encouragement or social media influencers will stick with your loved one. When it's personal and it comes from someone like you, your loved one or your friend is more likely to take it to heart. And lastly, these are some pictures from Indian Creek Nature Center's property through the seasons. We have about 500 acres and 5 miles of trails for you to enjoy. And one of the core tenets of our mission is that we believe there is no bad weather, there's only bad clothing, and that each and every one of us needs to be outside in all weather every single day. So how does this connect to low waste living? How does this connect to sustainability? Simple. The more you connect with the earth, the more likely you are to protect it. That's why we serve children. That's why we serve families. That's why we serve adults of all ages and abilities. If we can get people to connect with their earth, they will grow into people who fight to protect it. That's the mission. That's the goal. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I will stick around for a few moments if you have any questions, but thank you very much for hanging out with me for a few minutes today.
Great. Well, thanks so much, Kelly. I think it is an interesting idea. And now I don't know if anybody has any like top questions that you have to ask. If so, you can always go into that participants button and raise your hand. But since we have a little bit of time, I think what we're going to try to do is we're going to actually break into Zoom rooms. Okay, so everybody wake up if you aren't listening. Okay, we're going to go into Zoom rooms, and here is your assignment. I want you within your room to talk about ways that you either currently do try to reduce your waste or things that you have now thought of that you might want to do. You know, it could be like, where do you get, you know, you could share information. Where do you get rid of your plastic bags? Where do you recycle them? How are you dealing with your waste? What things do you have? So we're going to go into rooms and then we're going to come back in probably about a little shy of 10 minutes. Okay, so get ready. You're going to see a thing on your screen so that you can go into a room. Kelly, you're going to go too. So you can kind of join in the conversation, and then we'll come back and maybe share a few ideas. Okay, here we go. All the rooms are open. Okay, those of you that are still here, do you see anything about joining a room?
Barb, as a co-host, do I just pick anyone?
I think you could, yeah. Pick
Okay.
one where there's not as many green dots, if you can
Okay.
see that. So Bill, do you need help going into a room? You're gone. How about you, Chris or Benny? Do you see anything on your screen about join a room? Something to click? There might be a button that says join room. If not, I can always kind of send you someplace.
No, I don't think I have.
She's done it before, and I think she's on the list as a if needed only, like don't put me on automatically, but if you need me.
Well, Tracy Highstone is the one who reached out to people, so I don't know if she did contact Janice or not. So
I have a
maybe
feeling
Kelly will do it for us. We need volunteers to interview students.
Yeah, I was going to send you a message. I'd be happy to help.
Oh, wonderful.
Thanks.
I'll send you the details. Okay.
So Tita, I was just gonna say, I'm sure Janice got the email from Tracy, but I think the email listed who was already signed up, and it had her name as if needed or something. And unless somebody tells her she's needed, I don't think she's planning on doing it.
Okay, great. I will remind Tracy about that.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, Eric, that you will not be able to, but thank you for being in our team.
Yeah, I felt so bad. I was planning on it. I'm actually getting my second COVID shot out of town at 3 o'clock that afternoon. Otherwise.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yes, great. Well, thank you to all the other volunteers, and thank you, Kelly. I'll send you the info.
Perfect.
Thanks a lot.
All right.
So where do you recycle?
I was gonna say, should we talk about what we're supposed to be talking about now?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm done recruiting in this group.
Well, I will tell you that we have a compost bin behind our yard and used it religiously for a while and haven't been recently. And I mean, the reasons include laziness, and it's harder in the winter to get yourself to open up the back door where there's snow everywhere and trudge through the snow to get back there. And fruit flies and creatures that tend to show up in your kitchen when you're accumulating food scraps before you make the trek out there. So a whole lot of superficial reasons that has us currently not composting.
Well, I take everything that I can to the recycling bin, except the plastic bags, which Hy-Vee accepts them. So I put in as much as I can put in there. And the rest, I take them to Coralville that are off 10th Street or the ones in Iowa City. And I can't believe the amount of plastic that we consume, that we get, because everything is in plastic containers right now.
Yeah.
It's really pathetic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I will share, it was wonderful. So I work at the Center for Advancement, and they installed a water filtration type system. And so I always drink out of one of these now here. And the nice thing about it is, one, the water is amazing, but I drink so much more water. If I'm at work, I drink a ton of water. When I'm at home, I do a horrible job. But it's been kind of a win-win of, I'm not bringing bottled water to work anymore. And also I'm consuming more water as well. So that's been a good thing.
Yeah, but we as a family try to recycle as much as possible. We live in Coralville, and about 2 years ago, Coralville stopped taking glass because apparently we reached out to the city council. It's more expensive to recycle glass. They weren't getting the bang for the buck, dollars and cents, so they don't do glass anymore. But I kind of like her idea of maybe, I have 2 boys, but just to show them, lay out a tarp, like she said, and lay out her trash and just see what is actually going in the trash that could maybe be directed somewhere else. I think that could be a powerful experiment.
That's right. And good training for them for the future.
Yep.
For sure.
Well, and I'm glad she mentioned that COVID has, shifted a few things. I mean, certainly you were using kitchen towels and things. That was one of the first things they said to get rid of, and use paper towels and all of that. So I think it's going to be a mindset for us all to pull back and do the things that we were doing, as opposed to now feeling like we're doing the right thing for COVID.
That's true.
Oh,
That's true.
I never stopped using cloth towels. I missed that memo, Kelly.
Well, you're fine. It sounds like you're doing just fine.
Yeah,
I
you
think
guys-
I think we do a pretty good job of generally recycling. We do have in our kitchen a separate can for trash and then one for plastic, paper, tin. And I think we even put glass in there too, knowing that when it gets to the garage, it's not going to go in the recycling bin out to the street because we're in Coralville also and they don't take glass. But Janice usually takes the glass over someplace eventually sometime that I don't really know where it is and when. But I think we do. I think our biggest issue, the place I felt most convicted by her comments was the food scraps, where we used to compost and now we're not. So food scraps are ending up in our trash. And my understanding is that food doesn't biodegrade when it's mixed together with all that other stuff. So although you think of food as biodegradable, when it ends up in the landfill, my understanding is it's not necessarily, it either takes a lot longer to biodegrade or doesn't biodegrade or something because it's in the landfill as opposed to in a compost or out anywhere.
That's right. And the methane gas is really what the problem is of everything that we put in the landfill.
Mm-hmm.
My friend, my neighbor just received a very small box from Amazon, and she said it was like a portable compost bin. I will have to go see it. A lot of people in my neighborhood, and I also live in Coralville, and I live in the Terra Woods community. And several of my neighbors do recycle and do compost and do all kinds of very wonderful things to protect our environment.
Well, my compost bin isn't a bin. It's just like this, it looks like a yoga mat that's a little wider and thinner and it just wraps together and attaches. And I just have it kind of staked into the ground. And so it's just like a cylinder that I throw stuff in and I don't turn it. I know I'm supposed to, compost bins, I think you're supposed to rotate and turn. I don't do that. I just throw stuff in there and leave it.
Okay.
Which
Well,
is
I guess
maybe
we
not
all have to
ideal either,
be,
but.
I guess we all have to learn a little bit more about how to compost more efficiently.
Yeah, but my point there was the compost bin that I have, if you're looking for one, it doesn't have to be complicated or bulky or big. Sorry, Kelly, I keep cutting you off.
No, you're fine. That was going to be what constitutes a compost pile. I mean, it sounds like you don't just dig a hole, that there's actually.
No, I mean, I think most people it's on top of the ground, and I think ideally you're supposed to rotate it periodically, like so the stuff that's on the bottom goes on the top and the stuff on the top goes on the bottom. I think that helps speed up the composting and turning it into black dirt. I haven't been doing that.
Got it. Well, interesting.
We will all be learning a little more.
That's right. That is
Yeah, guys, I really like these breakout rooms. They're great opportunities to have the smaller conversations that might not happen in the bigger group.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Great. And thank you again, Kelly.
You're welcome.
Yep.
I look forward to getting the information.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yep.
On the end and kind of not good enough for me to really give goodwill. And what I did was I took them to the Friends of the Animal Shelter because they will use those towels and things like that. So there's one example of a great way that you can reuse and use something for another purpose. Does anybody else want to share something that either they shared or that they heard in their discussion? Come on.
I'll share, I guess.
Great.
I don't have it anymore, but I was talking about my old wire spool patio furniture. I got old wild spools and created that to reuse it, but didn't bring it with me to Iowa. It was a little bit bulky.
That's true. That would be true. But there's lots of different things that we can do. So is there anything else anybody wants to share or have a question for our speaker? Gary, you've got your hand up.
Barb, we didn't come up in our discussion group, but when it comes to keeping the cycle going and not just ending up in the garbage, we have so many places for furniture, clothing that you can put back into use, stuff that you're no longer using. what prompted me to think about it is an association with the Crowded Closet. But there's so many ways to give things away that are still usable. And this community is blessed with all the opportunities for that.
I can't agree with you more. You know, Crowded Closet is a great option. The other one is houses into homes. Because
right.
Houses into Homes will take your stuff. It's a great organization, and they provide all the, you know, the kitchen table and couches and lamps and artwork and bedding for people who are coming out of DVIP, or perhaps they've been in jail, they have an apartment and it's empty. And those people really need our help to kind of move on and get better. So that's another great organization. Brent, you have your hand up.
I shared with the group something that we started using about 3 months ago. And instead of like carting home laundry detergent in a big plastic jug, we found that there's a couple of companies that make strips, very similar to dryer sheets. They're strips of detergent, and they work amazingly well. And you know, 64 loads of wash come in an envelope about this big, cardboard envelope that they mail to you, and you just tear one of the strips off, break it up, put it in the receptacle, and you get a clean load of clothes. So I thought about all the, you know, number of jugs of detergent I take home from Hy-Vee in a year, and what a waste that is. And here's a product that someone a lot smarter than me has come up with that allows you to just put those strips in the wash.
Excellent, great idea. Tara, you had a thought?
I had a question for our speaker. I've been purchasing for a number of years what are considered compostable plastic bags for like dog poo and trash bags. Do those help at all?
Not really. So unfortunately, a lot of our compostable single-use items, like let's say a compostable fork or a compostable takeout container, a lot of those can't be composted in a home recycling bin because they need to be shredded into smaller pieces, and our home compost bins don't get hot enough to actually compost it. Then some municipal compost facilities, and I'm only speaking for the one in Cedar Rapids, Lynn County Solid Waste Agency, they actually can't take single-use compostable items because of where their landfill and compost facility is located. It blows and it basically just becomes trash, like, and litter in the environment. So you have to check with your municipality to see if they take single-use compostables and how they process them, because oftentimes the items have more of a challenging time being processed. So I say no because it really does depend on your municipality. I also say no because it's a single-use item. So of course, if you're purchasing a single-use item, compostable is better than plastic. It's probably been manufactured in a little bit more of an ethical manner, out of better materials. But your best choice for, let's say, dog waste, you know, shouldn't be left on the ground. It's a pollutant. So you have to pick it up, right? Your best choice, because dog waste is going to go in the landfill, is a paper bag, which might be kind of gross, but using something in paper, because the paper will break down really quickly in the landfill with the dog waste. It'll still contribute to methane gas in the landfill, but it's better than containing it in plastic where it won't break down as best.
Great, thanks so much. Well, Kelli, we want to thank you for taking the time today and sharing information about the center and about your work. And in honor of your work with us today, our club will make a gift to the Rotary International's Polio Plus program. This gift will actually be matched 2-to-1 by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, which means that this gift will provide 70 vaccines around the world in your name. So happy to do that. Thank you.
Thank you.
You bet. So with that, I think we have no other business before the club. Kelli, I don't know if you have the 4-way test slide handy. She does. Look at that. Thank you, Kelly. If our members could please join me in the 4-way test. Of the things that we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Great. Thank you all for joining us today. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope you're all inspired to just, you know, do a few things a little better for our world. So
See you guys.
thanks so much.
Thank you.